Assalamualaikum everyone and welcome to the 9th ICEBIT 2025. I am NURKALIZA KHALID from University Islam Selangor. Today we are standing at a critical intersection in educational history. In this presentation, we are not just discussing a new tool, but a fundamental reshaping of how students learn. This presentation will examine the evolving relationship between generative AI and cognitive engagement. Our goal is to move beyond the hype and analyze how these generative machines are redefining the internal mental efforts of our learners. For decades, technology in the classroom was largely supportive or supplemental, aka it helped us practice, it delivered content, or it provided predefined feedback. The cognitive burden of synthesis and creation remains solely with the human. However, the rise of large language models like ChatGPT represents a leap across that boundary. AI has transitioned from being a repository of information to a content co-creator and a generative partner. As a result, Gen AI can now perform intellectual outputs, such as drafting essays, generating code, and debating positions, all of which were previously the exclusive territory of human cognition. To understand the impact of this shift, we must first define the engine of deep learning, which is cognitive engagement. This is the active mental effort and strategic resource allocation learners use to process and regulate their learning. It is the psychological engine driving expertise. It encompasses critical thinking or the ability to move past rote memorization to analyze and synthesize. Metacognition, which is the ability to think about one's own thinking, and problem solving or the application of knowledge to new contexts. Our challenge now is ensuring that as technology advances, this engine doesn't stall. This brings us to the core tension identified in the current literatures. Is generative AI mainly a cognitive support that invites intellectual offloading and potentially reducing student effort? Or can it be leveraged as a cognitive scaffold to provoke deeper reflection and more sophisticated problem solving? While some studies show AI fosters creativity and provides personalized feedback, others warn of risks like over-reliance and diminished critical thinking. Now, here is where we must decide. Are we using AI to bypass the work or to enhance it? To answer this, our team conducted a transparent narrative review of fragmented cross-disciplinary literature published between 2022 and 2025. We began with 1,550 records from the Scopus database. After a two-stage screening process, focusing on pedagogical discussion and cognitive impact, we synthesized findings from 67 core studies. This review maps the evidence of how Gen AI supports or reduces processes like critical analysis and metacognitive regulations. The research identifies 4 key areas of influence. In critical thinking, there is a constant balance between the risk of over-reliance and the potential for supported analysis. In self-regulated learning, AI can foster better planning or completely reshape how students monitor their progress. For problem solving, it can scaffold complex tasks but may also diminish the needs for original creative synthesis. Finally, in knowledge integration, AI provides personalized explanation, yet it poses a threat to deep, independent understanding if not managed correctly. One of the most promising findings is Gen AI's ability to empower self-regulated learning. It acts as a cycle of empowerment. Students can use it to plan, by setting goals and outlining tasks. They can execute as the AI acts as a co-author or a sounding board for ideas. AI provides monitoring through instant feedback on progress, and finally, it assists in reflection, helping students evaluate their own thinking and adapt their approaches. Despite these benefits, we must confront a central question raised by emerging research. What cognitive work remains necessary for the learner? If a machine can generate a competent product, how do we structure the interaction to ensure the original intellectual work is not avoided but enhanced? We run the risk that the core work of learning, which is the struggle that leads to retention, is now bypassed entirely. The urgency of this question is highlighted by the sheer volume of research. As you can see, the records identified have grown exponentially from 2022 to 2025. This signals an urgent scholarly and pedagogical debate. We are no longer in the wait and see phase. The integration is happening at a very fast pace, urging evidence-based principle for responsible use. The review suggests that the outcome, whether AI helps or hurts, depends entirely on the instructional framework. If a task is simply write an essay, then the AI becomes a product generator, leading to offloading and diminished critical thinking. However, if the task is use AI as a debate partner, then critiques its argument, the AI becomes a simulated peer. This role promotes scaffolding and actually augments critical thinking. Based on the review, we suggest that in order to guide this integration, we look to the DEQ framework proposed by Asamoah and colleagues. Successful interaction requires three pillars: domain knowledge, so the students can evaluate the AI's output; query capabilities, the skill to promote and iterate effectively; and ethical acumen to navigate the complexities of academic integrity. By focusing on this, we move from being passive users to intentional collaborators. In conclusion, the future of cognitive engagement does not depend on resisting AI. Instead, it depends on redesigning learning experiences to leverage these capabilities in ways that augment, aka to increase, rather than replace human intellect. We must focus on how the interaction changes the internal cognitive processes of the learner to ensure we are building expertise, not just generating content. I leave you with this challenge. Consider one task or assessment to your students in your own context. How could it be redesigned to use Gen AI as a cognitive scaffold rather than a shortcut? Let's continue this conversation to ensure the engaged mind remains the center of education in the age of machines. Thank you and Assalamu alaikum.